If the following aquarium was made out of acrylic, I'd move it myself.
You're good. You want to put it down? No. You can rest. You want to rest?
I'm good. Just good.
Not on video.
Just getting nutless heavy.
Oh! Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's really hard.
Yes.
Not just hard. It's really hard.
Can I step on this?
Yes. You have no choice, Darius.
But it wasn't. It's made of glass. 180 gallons, half-inch glass, 12 millimeter, weighing over 300 pounds. But I've moved much bigger aquariums made out of acrylic, like my 375 gallon, and it even weighed more than 300 pounds, and I was able to move it myself. Why? Glass smashes if it drops and or bumps or anything like that, whereas acrylic is 7 times more impact resistant. To summarize, if you drop a glass aquarium or make a mistake or hit a corner while you're doing something or lifting it, end of the story for that aquarium. When it comes to acrylic, well, there's room for mistakes. Now, even though acrylic weighs much less than glass, but luckily my son is now 18 years of age. He's a grown man, goes to the gym almost every day, like his father. Well, like I used to go to the gym. I don't go to the gym anymore. I don't go often. Anyways, once we get this 180 gallon aquarium from my basement through my backyard into the aquarium gallery, we can begin to immediately scape it and get it in place. I used a massive 4 foot long, or closer to 3.5 foot long, beautiful piece of Malaysian bogwood, which looks really small right now, but it weighs about 60 pounds. As for a substrate, my classic slurry that I love to use. Not only does it look absolutely natural, but it works for growing plants and holds the roots and or plants in place as they gain their roots. The reason being is we're using a mixture of ADA aqua soil as well as pool filtration sand. That pool filtration sand creates more of a compact substrate, whereas the ADA aqua soil gives the sand the nutrients that it requires. I'm using, in this example, around a 50-50 mix. In fact, we used it in the tanks above it as well. Lights are off, but the goal here is simple. This will be my electric eel aquarium. Lots of open swimming space, plus natural bogwood that it would potentially experience in the wild. A soft substrate. A little muddy and murky. Don't worry, I'm going to paint this white. It looks crappy right now. But it'll all be white like the rest of this. I don't know. I painted the trim for the other room, but I don't think I'm going to paint this trim, but maybe I should, because then it's going to look weird if I don't. But if I paint this, then I got to paint all that. I think I'm going to leave the top black. Also, when I pushed this in, I left it out by about 6 inches. Not only can I reach my hand in there all the way to the bottom, but technically I can go all the way to the back as well and touch here. Everything I need to do. Plus not having a lot of clearance. Oh, as for lighting, and you're gonna cringe and also enjoy it. Since the front frame is a 2x6 and behind it is 2x4s, look at this. I took some shop lights, a couple of screws, some zip ties, kind of just zip tied them in place. These are 5,000 Kelvin rating, that's their temperature. Plants are going to need anywhere from probably 4,000 to 6,500. 5,000 is nice. I prefer closer to 6,000 just for some more blues, but I have plenty of lights. I can add more. These each are 40 watts a piece. Doesn't seem like a lot, but considering most of the plants are going to be surrounding this wood and on the wood. As for the plants, we're adding a massive amount of Anubias. And when I say a massive amount, you're not going to believe me how much we technically really have. Then I'm going to take some Valenciaria and plant it all around it. That will be the scape. Now, will that Val travel throughout the rest of the aquarium? Yes, it sends off runners. And the reason I'm using Val, I might even add in some dwarf Sagittaria, only because it also sends out runners. And the Anubias, it works off rhizomes and just continues to grow and get bigger and bigger and bigger. But it's a hands-off aquarium. Why do you think that is? because it's an electric eel aquarium. And that's my style of scaping. I start with what fish am I keeping? What's the appropriate tank size, or at least what can we keep it in for the next couple of years before we need to upgrade? And then what's the appropriate aquascape? And I guess you could say what I'm trying to say here is that not only does the tank have to be appropriate for the fish, but it also has to be appropriate for you. This is an electric eel. I can't be putting my hands in the aquarium with trimming plants, rescaping, or doing anything like that, or I could be electrocuted. So we have to consider plants that send off runners as opposed to stems, so that they never need to be trimmed. We can just let the tank go nuts, like we did with the original Piranha aquarium. Now, when I said I had a lot of Anubias, I warned you. Like, a lot of Anubias. Some of it's ready to become 2 plants. This is what I was talking about with the rhizomes. They send off like these massive root structures that send off the leaves. And it doesn't need a substrate, although you can plant it into a substrate, just keep the rhizome above it so it doesn't rot. But that to me is darn near a myth, because I found that it's going to come out above the substrate anyways. You just don't want to bury it all the way up here, I guess. But you can attach it to rocks, wood, decorations, etc., wherever you want to plant it. This is a monstrous sized Anubias for a monstrous sized aquarium. But the reason I like it is I could take it and I can glue it to surfaces. It's not a demanding plant, gets all the nutrients from the water column, and it can survive in blackouts if you ever have like algae issues and stuff like that. But 1, 2, I've got to separate all this stuff, and we're going to have quite a bit. Now this one doesn't have anything easy to break off. I could take a razor blade and cut it if I want, but I kind of like how long it is. So I do have a lot of options here. It all grows so weird too, and it depends. I float it sometimes too, just in an aquarium to keep it alive. The only thing that I'll do to ensure success is I'll look at the leaves, because Anubias won't repair its leaves like this. This was probably just bit or something. You just want to rip it off. Everybody's going to tell you something different, but I am the king of Anubias, so you should probably listen to me. To glue it, Aqua Decor sent me all these. Look at this. I have so much glue. You can use super glue, Gorilla Glue, whatever type of glue you want. I want to take this big giant one, and I'm thinking it should go right in to here. I'm not going to need a lot of glue for this, because technically you can just shove it into crevices and it'll be fine, but having a little glue around it for these type of sizes, and when this electric eel gets in there, he's going to cause havoc. So might as well just toss a bit in. I don't want him ripping it out. So not only is it pushed into this crevice now, it's also kind of glued around the perimeter of itself. And right there, automatically, this piece of wood already looks absolutely phenomenal. I always feel bad ripping off these plants, but sometimes they just don't contribute to the rest of the plant. So you got to make some executive choices. It's another good piece, though. Where should we put you? I think almost on the black there. You'll also notice this aquarium doesn't have a background in it. I'm trying to save as much space as I can for the electric eel. He's quite girthy. Call him Girth Brooks. So this plant's in really rough shape. So look at that one. That's got to come off. You can come off. You can come off. And this will trigger new growth. Don't feel too bad. New growth. Is there any new growth? This one's kind of new. Newer leaves will come out like kind of folded and yellowish. Well, they won't be as green as the rest, but you'll also notice that they all don't grow the same. So you kind of want to plan around that and how you kind of want it. I'm thinking this bad boy should go down in that corner. I'm trying to hide off cut edges and whatnot, where you can see where the wood was clearly cut before. I also like to have the roots. I don't hide the roots. I like them to be over the wood, like exposed to be able to view and see. Yeah, so this glue is just giving me a little extra level of insurance. After I jam it into some crevice in this wood. Yeah, it looks good. It'll look better in time. Plus, the Anubias is going to correct itself. Stand up when it wants. The leaves will raise, do its own thing. I don't like this one, and I think it's because of the way it was growing. It was reaching, like the leaves were reaching for the daylight. I don't know if I'm going to use it all. I think we already have enough. Damn. Yeah, we'll go ahead and use some more. Jam the rhizome in there somehow, maybe. Just like that. And what's going to happen is those roots are going to attach to the raw or to the wood in no time, and we won't really have to stress about the glue at all. So now it's going to start looking a lot better. Like it's so full and so lush, yet leaves so much more room in the aquarium. Now imagine some val kind of, you know, growing all the way around it. The tank is huge, plenty of room. Yeah, this is going to be beautiful, absolutely stunning, with super easy plants. So as for filtration, FX6 for this filter alone, but where's this going to go? That's what these gaps are for. Watch this. Look how close this is. Oh, like butter. Fits in there perfectly. This one will go all the way to the back. I'll have another canister. This will be filtering this tank, another canister in front of it. We'll be pumping water up to these two aquariums, which will be overflowing back through those pipes to this tank and completing the cycle where this one's just filtering this one, but technically filtering them all, plus the additional canister filter rated for about 200 gallons will be filtering these two, plus technically them all. It's mostly serving as a circulation pump and or a return pump without having to drill this tank. A little water change for these guys. Let's go check out the final results. So it certainly needs to clear up a bit more, and I got to clean the front glass, but I went ahead and I planted some dwarf Sagittaria around the wood here, and then clumps of Valisaria on both ends. We installed the canister filter, which was already cycled. I technically took it from the 700, replaced it with an uncycled one. Totally fine. That's technically why I'm doing a big water change, just to cope with any type of additional ammonia that might build up, which is unlikely because it's the volume of plants. Added in a circulation pump as well, and just kind of monitoring where I want to have the water level because the electric eel can jump. I'm also kind of monitoring how the flow is going to affect the look of the plants. I don't want them blowing around too much. But one of the things I was thinking about doing is I think I might add a layer of pool filter sand on top of the substrate here, just to clean up the look a little bit more. However, once that electric eel gets in here, he's going to do what he wants. So hard to say. Is that? There's hair algae on this one. Must be from when it was in Tamara's tank. But I can't move him in here right away, probably in a week. I couldn't even add him in tomorrow, or even right now, because I have to leave for Toronto. As this is premiering and you guys are watching it, I will be making the 1,700 kilometer trek to 2 events that I'll be featured in. And I don't like moving fish if I can't be here, you know, the next day or that day, or at least for an entire week. So we'll move him maybe a couple weeks after we get back. However, this tank is essentially done. The tank above it and this one over here is done. We're going to put another canister filter down here to kind of feed these, and then we can fill these up. These will be filled up. It's just that the bulkheads are below the water level right now. And if I fill these up, they're going to drain just right to the floor because the plumbing's not completed. And even if I did fill them up, I don't have a canister filter to kind of cycle. I don't have the canister filter set up right now. because it's on the electric eel aquarium, and he's just over here. One thing that I did notice is he's not nearly as active in a barren tank. He likes the plants. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when he gets into his new aquarium, which does look like it might be a little cramped, but really that wood is only about 8 inches wide. He'll be able to swim throughout all of this. And as you can see, a lot of the times he'll just kind of swim around when I'm around. And we had bigger decoration in there in the 180 he's in right now previously. But I think we can get another, maybe about another 2 years out of this tank with him in it. Maybe even upwards of a year. We'll see how his growth does. But one of the things I was thinking about doing is, you know, when it is time to upgrade him, put him in the 375 or build something bigger for him, and I'd like to get a group of electric eels and see how that goes. That could be pretty fun because I do like the electric eel quite a bit. Enjoy watching them and whatnot. But what do you think of this scape? Let me know in the comment section below. Let me know if you're coming to either one of the events. I hope to see you guys there. But oh, and the other thing is, even though the background is just the white wall, you don't see anything. I did my best to hide all the pipes and whatnot. Yeah, very cool. I think I'm actually going to leave the substrate like this because once he gets in there and kind of mixes it up, stirs it up, he might even make it look a little bit better. Oh, and I got to finish painting this as well. Probably sweep, mop the floor. I'm also got to get some more CO2 tanks filled up. All of these are empty. They're all 10-pound CO2 tanks because I'm going to run CO2 on these when I get home, but I don't have time to get these filled up and pick them up and whatnot. But I'll run CO2 on this entire system, which also feeds this system. So we should see an explosion of growth when I get home after about a week or two of running CO2. And once that happens and the plants really take hold in their tanks, that's when we'll be adding Tyrese to his aquarium. That's when we'll move the rope fish. That's when we will move the electric eel and really start to progress through this racking system. But in order to get this tank in here, I had to shut down the saltwater tank that was here and toss the lionfish in a tank half the size that is typically in with its original filter, and he's gonna do fine. He ate yesterday, and so long as I don't feed him before I leave so he doesn't create too much bioload in this tank, he's going to be totally fine in here. But I can't wait to get him into in a 180-gallon tank as well. But this tank is technically staying there, and then 2 cube tanks will go side by side, and then a 180 below it. And then 2 more 4-foot tanks there, and a 180 below it, just like this kind of setup here. It's going to be super cool. And you're probably wondering, like, how do you even get into the top tank? Let me just show you real quick. So just grab a step stool. Obviously, this one's easy to maintain, the 180. And I could tactically get to these ones really easy as well, just kind of standing in front of them. I can get all the way to the bottom, but obviously this one's going to be a little bit more difficult because I got to reach out. However, get up on the step stool like any normal person, and I could do whatever I'm going to need to be able to do there as well. No problem whatsoever. Very cool setup. If you guys want to see the videos to come, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Let me know what you think of the scape. It's definitely ideal for the electric eel, but it might not be your taste in terms of a scape. Incredibly simplistic, just a piece of wood and some plants, but sometimes that's what your fish need, especially when it comes to big fish. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.